you might not have an easy answer for, but I thought it was well framed anyway. Simon Aubrey asks, are you happy?
Good question. It depends how you define happiness, Robert.
How do you define it, David?
I would define it in terms of the amount of contentment that I feel in my life, and the degree to which I feel a relative peace of mind. That comes and goes all the time for me, and rightly so, because I think that if you're trying to develop in any way on any chosen path, you have to spend periods of time where you're faced with certain aspects of your own self which are very hard to confront and deal with. And on the spiritual path, that's certainly true. So there can be moments of extreme blissful happiness, and there could be moments of utter anguish, and they can sometimes strangely coexist. So I'm happy in my life, and I'm happy in the goals that I've set myself, and I'm probably happier in my work than I've ever been. So that sort of answers the question.
How about when you're working as a musician? What sort of frame of mind takes over then? I mean, somebody's asked whether you have a strategy for dealing with writer's block, for example. I mean, is it a struggle?
No. I very rarely have trouble writing. Writing comes generally quite easy, but I don't force it. If I wasn't to write another song, I don't have anxiety attacks about not having written a song for a year or whatever. It doesn't worry me. And when there's something to be said, I'll find a means of saying it. Generally, the writing comes very easy. It will happen. A piece will surface in a matter of hours. It's the arranging and the recording process which tends to take a lot longer. Sometimes unnecessarily so. But you know, the actual writing of the material is necessarily quick. Unless we're talking about the instrumental work. That's work that's built up over a period of time. Very often created from a base of improvisation, and slowly built upon, and then edited, deconstructed if you like, and then built again. So that form of composition happens over a period of time.
But there's no sense of, when you're going through what must presumably be quite a meticulous process, there's no sense of frustration or anguish
in the recording process.
Yeah.
Yes, there can be enormous frustration. Whether you're working alone or working with other musicians, there can often be an element of frustration, of finding what is necessary for a composition, of overcoming your own limitations as a performer, frustration working with other musicians that can't seem to find their way into a composition and therefore can't give a performance that is relevant to the work. Yeah, there's many frustrations. Then there's a whole bag full of technical frustrations that come along with working with modern technology. So yes, there can be. But the rewards, you know, when a piece falls into place, is tremendously exciting. So that just you know, that outweighs all other considerations, fortunately.
Kevin Hammond has asked a $64,000 question, which I'm sure will have you tutting with irritation. If you had to label your music, what would the label read?
Well, I don't have to. So.
Well, you do now, because we got you here.
No, I don't.
I mean, it's
impossible. It's undesirable, and that's why I've always just embraced the generic category, pop music. Just file it under pop music. That's fine with me. I'm happy with that.
So you don't feel there is any sense in which you and other like-minded musicians, many of whom have cropped up on your albums, have to some degree defined a new space for
Well, if we
popular
have,
music?
Nobody's put a name to it yet, and all the better for it, I think.
Did it ever bother you?
Did it ever bother me?
Did
No.
it ever bother you what
No, it's never worried me. No. It might worry me a little more now if I see my work in a New Age category. Because it's such a nonsense. The category itself doesn't make sense to me.
Anthony Reynolds has asked an even trickier question here. What he asked, did you learn from your experiences of artificial intoxication as a young man? I'm thinking specifically of your experiences with alcohol and cocaine. I don't know where he got this information, but there you are.
I don't remember.
The rock and roll world of...
No, that period of my life has just been... I mean, you know, you understand the workings of intoxication, Robert.
Does Anthony Reynolds, I ask myself. Perhaps he needs to have them explained to him. But did it actually? I mean, was there a complete break in lifestyle between being in what was an internationally successful rock band, Japan, and being a very different kind of solo artist, David Sylvian?
In lifestyle, did you say? Only in terms of not being under the scrutiny of the media, I suppose. I mean, that changed things quite a lot. But no, my demons were all internal. So, you know, there was I fought quite a battle for a number of years with all manner of things and addictions, and it took a time to reach a point of maturity where I didn't need anything to lean on anymore in that respect.
There are quite a lot of fairly detailed questions about individual tracks, the reasons why you included things and left out others on the new album. There's someone asking about Dobro tracks, wanting to know, he's interested to know how many Dobro tracks have been recorded, and in an interview apparently mentioned that there were 4, but Everything and Nothing includes numbers 5 and 6. These are wonderful tracks, and I'd be delighted to see all of them made available. Is this likely to happen?
It's unlikely to happen. What happened was I was recording with Bill Frisell in Seattle, and we're at the end of a 2-day session, and he still happened at the end of the session. He still happened to be sitting out in the studio with a Dobro on lap, and I just asked him to improvise a number of pieces for me, just that I could respond to in time when I had time, and he did that. I think there were 6 in all, and none of them lasting more than 2 minutes. And I responded to the first, and that appeared on Dead Bees. And then I took a good look at the remaining 5, and had a bash at the ones that seemed most promising. I don't really think I'll go back to the ones that that didn't hold much promise for a vocal contribution.
This and many other questions like it does raise the question of how happy you feel actually releasing tracks which presumably you have at some point felt were not quite up to scratch, because obviously there is an audience out there who would love to hear every musical sound you have ever made and would go to some lengths to get hold of it.
I never felt that the outtakes that appear on this album were substandard in any way. They were just either out of context, as I said, or I just didn't have time to complete them. But they were as strong as much of the other material that I was recording at that moment in time. Riot is as strong, if not stronger, than just about anything on Secrets of the Beehive, for example. So I had no qualms about going back and fishing these out. It was actually a pleasure to bring them to completion. But there isn't a whole lot of material lying around in the vaults. I mean, there may be a few live shows recorded or whatever, but on the whole, there isn't an excessive amount of material available for Virgin to Unearth in years to come.
Jamie Bolton has asked a question. Just curious as to your views on Napster. Very much an issue of the moment, and one which I suppose there must be quite a lot of MP3 files of David Sylvian material.
Maybe there are
floating around there.
I don't know.
Where do you stand on this thorny topic?
Can I not have an opinion on it?
Well, of course. But it must be unusual to be in your position, to know that there are...
You know, these things are still working themselves out. I don't think it's worth getting all excited about what's currently happening on the internet and the current infringements of copyright. Until it's, you know, the dust is settled, it's really not worth, you know, getting too worked up about. It's really for, you know, the industry and the individuals involved in Napster and the like to come to an agreement of sorts. Do I think that my work should be available for free on the internet? No, because I would no longer be able to make the work. I would no longer be able to make a living. So that would be the end of the work that people are currently pirating, which doesn't make any sense. You know, if people are enjoying the work, please buy a copy, because it means I can make another. You know, but you know, it's the people that are actually doing the exchanging are fairly innocent, I believe, in what they're doing. All they're doing is sharing the music they love with friends. On the whole, you know, it's just that we've all made compiled tapes of their favorite music and handed it to our friends. Well, it's just an extension of that, but it's just got to the point where that sound reproduction is so good, you needn't go out and buy the original copy anymore. But it's something that has to be resolved. But it doesn't light a fire under me at present, you know, in terms of getting anxious or worried about what the future holds.
And have you ever spent any time on the Napster website yourself?
Never.
The question that was asked at the beginning, we have to ask it, as always on these occasions. It comes from somebody who joins us under the name of George. Hello, David. Where do you see yourself in the future?
I tend not to look ahead that far. Ideally live within the future that is right before me, which is settling into my new home, creating a working environment, and settling into writing some new material. I worked on Dead Bees for a long time. I'm very keen to get back to writing again.
When you say get back to writing, I mean, presumably you could get back to writing almost any time.
Really, no, that's not the case, because unless I have an environment in which to work, I can't isolate myself from the other concerns in my life. So I need time and space. And when I get a sense that that is going to be afforded me, then I will allow certain ideas to become more concrete in mind, and there will come a point where I feel ready to try and to give those ideas form. And so, yes, of course, you can sit down and write at any point, but I don't really find that a necessary exercise. I want to write with a purpose, to create a complete work, a complete body of work at one period of time.
And do you have to wait patiently for that sense to sort of come upon you?
Well, you know, the period leading up to the writing is often the most enjoyable part, because the ideas haven't been given form yet. So it has all these wonderful possibilities attached to it. It can go in any directions. It can bring so many elements together. When you sit down, you begin to narrow the field somewhat. It becomes exciting in another way, because suddenly you're beginning to see something concrete taking shape. But I'm in no rush to get to that point, other than the excitement of actually working again and the enjoyment of that process.
So no rush means a new David Sylvian album in the year 2000.
I shouldn't say that, should I?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, yes. I wouldn't want to work with any given time frame.
Right. Well, we'd hate to build up anyone's false hopes. Anyway, David, thanks very much for that. It's been very interesting, very enjoyable. Thanks to everyone
Pleasure.
who sent in questions. I'm sorry we couldn't answer all of them, but I think we covered most of the areas that you asked about. Anyway, thanks for watching.